weighs in, Blake, the wisdom that you have that's inside of you, that you pour out. And I know that the world is waiting for what you have inside of you to just be released and to come out. And we get the privilege here at G5 to have this, to have, not only Tim, but have his family that just pour into us. And Blake's wisdom is beyond years. It's not about an age, but the fact that he's had the opportunity to just walk with his father and be in these amazing meetings, and it just oozes out of you. So, Blake, we're so honored. I'm honored to welcome you and introduce you to these amazing leaders. Blake Goad.
Shoot. No, okay. Josh has whispered to me, don't say your usual joke about me when you come up there, Blake. No. No. But thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. Can we give it a round of applause for Josh, guys? He's an amazing servant leader at G5, and to be honest, we would not know what to do if he wasn't here helping us out, for sure. But y'all ready for leadership? I feel like we just had leadership. Do we not? It literally feels like we just did. But of course, it's getting close to Super Bowl, so I have to tell my Super Bowl joke. Is that okay with everybody? So this older man was at the Super Bowl, and he got the tickets, and he's there, and he's sitting in his seat, and this young man, came down and had seats right next to him, and the whole game he noticed there was a seat empty in between him and the old man, and he was like, this is odd, these tickets are expensive. You would have thought if he bought the tickets, he would have made sure to bring somebody, just the whole thing. So the whole game went on, and finally when it got close to the end of the game, he leaned over to the man and said, hey, sir, I just had a question. I noticed that there was nobody in the seat next to you. Why didn't you, invite somebody or bring your wife or what happened? And the guy goes, well, my wife passed away, and she made me promise that I would go to the Super Bowl even if she passed away. And he said, oh, that's so sweet, but why didn't you bring your son or your brother or somebody with you? He goes, oh, I would have, but the funeral was today, but I didn't want to break my promise to my wife. Priorities, right? But all I'm saying is there's not a specific team I'm rooting for the Super Bowl. We're excited. It's going to be a blast. But I'm excited. Y'all excited for leadership today? So I'm going to jump right in today, guys. Today I'm talking about habits again. The last few months I've really dove deep into habits. One of the biggest things I found out in my whole life, but in the last few years even more, is how important habits are. And some of the greatest leaders in the world have some of the greatest habits I've ever seen. And my mom and dad being some of those people. The habits, how they interact with people, the things they've done when they're around people, around situations. And it was crazy. I heard this stat that Duke University did, and they said over 40% of your actions are not done by choice. They are done by habits you've built in your life. 40%. And what's so cool is, in my opinion, a habit is something you've done so much that it becomes second nature to you that you don't even think about it. So what is stuff in your life that you do so naturally that you don't even think about it, and then after you do it, you're like, oh, shoot, I probably shouldn't have done that. Or, shoot, I'm glad I know how to do that. I'm glad I did that. It's like it just comes so second nature to you. And I love it. So my point number one is the potential of your leadership is determined by the quality of the habits you put in your life. The habits I love this, is the habits you have today and you create today will determine who you become tomorrow. So some of the best leaders that I've studied and I've had the ability to be around and watch create habits that get them the results they want. Sometimes, some of the greatest leaders are not the ones that are the smartest or the brightest or have the most degrees from schools. You know what I'm talking about? Some of the greatest leaders are the people that are willing to go the extra mile even when it looks like it can't be done. Habits. What are you willing to fight for that most people are not willing to fight for when they're sleeping? What are you willing to go do? I have so many friends that I talk to, and I'm like, hey man, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? He goes, I'm out building my dream, man. 11, 12, 1 a.m. in the morning, I'll call them, and I have buddies out in California or all over the world, and I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they're like, I'm dream building with friends right now. It doesn't matter where you are or what time zone you're in, the habits you put in your life with your friends are some of the most important things you will do no matter where you're from or where you're going or where you've been. Number 2 is to know what habits you need to create, you must know what you want. Now that may sound very familiar because my dad says this quote all the time, if you don't know what you want, you might want to find out what you want. But here's another way to say it is if you don't know what you want, figure out what you don't want. Figure out what you don't want. Some of the greatest leaders don't know what they want, but they know what they don't want, and it helps them clarify what their goals are. I remember there's a guy that comes to church. He hasn't been in a little while, but he used to come around a lot, and he was sitting with my dad and I one day, and he was like, I don't know what I want, and I don't know what's available to me to go after. He says, I know I need to work for something, but he says, I don't know what that goal is. So one day I remember I took him to the mall. And I said, hey man, let's go walk around the mall for a little bit. And he goes, okay. And I had him try on clothes that he had never tried on before. I had him try on $5,000 suits. I got him in the habit, and I learned this from my father, I got him in the habit of looking at things that he would never get used to looking at. And I remember about 6 months ago, he called me, he FaceTimed me, and he goes, hey dude, I wanted to share this with you. He says, a habit I put in my life became a dream. He says, I'm staying at a hotel I thought I would never be able to stay at, but because of your family, I'm able to stay at this hotel now. Now that's not because of us. That's just giving somebody an opportunity to put a habit in their life to go, let me expand my vision and the habits in my life so that I can think bigger and know what I want, or if I don't know what I want, I know what I don't want. He knew he didn't want to go back where he came from, so he had to learn how to go where he wanted to be. Now that's huge what I just said there. Number 3 is who over what. Who over what. Now you're saying, Blake, that doesn't really sound like a habit. Now, one of the greatest habits that you can ever put in your life is figuring out who you are before you know what you want. Because if you don't know who you are, what you get sometimes is not the greatest thing because you don't know how to handle what you got when you don't know who you are. One of the greatest things, and I believe that my parents taught my sister and I, was they taught us who we are. So then when we got into situations, we knew who we were in the situations we were in. So we would go into situations at a very young age, even like David's age. And we would walk into situations or rooms that most young kids wouldn't go in or weren't allowed in. And because we knew who we were, not arrogantly, but the habits our parents put in our lives were able to give us access to situations and information that we learned from. At a young age, that habits that they taught us, that we watched from them, grew us. At 7 and 8 years old and 6 years old, that we could go learn and be in rooms that most people wouldn't be in, to learn things at a young age that launched us into greater things. So I want to encourage you to master who you are before you know what you want. Well, know what you want, but also know who you are in knowing what you want. That's huge. That's huge. And how many of you know it's who before do? Who before do? Who you are determines what you do. One of the greatest things my parents taught us, and I just said this earlier, but another way to say it is they taught us who we are determines how we live our lives and what our lives will turn out to be. That's massive. So I have a question, and I want you all to think about this for the next couple of weeks until the next leadership. And I want you to ask yourself, what do you think of yourself? What do you think of yourself? What is your perspective on yourself? Because once you figure out what your perspective of yourself is, other people's perspective of you will not matter. nowadays in our culture we have in this world, everybody wants to know what other people think of us. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes there's times where I will ask people, hey, what did you think of what just happened, what I did there? What did you think? Now, that's asking wisdom. That's not asking ideas about you. One of the greatest things, and I said this, is we learned at a young age how to create and learn who we were, to determine that we knew when people said stuff about us. It could be wrong, it could be right, that we knew. Oh, thank you for saying that. No, at a young age, my sister and I, people would always come up to us and be like, oh, you're just a singer. Oh, you're just a drummer. And I was like, yeah. And I would hear my dad's voice that he would always say to me, you're much more than a drummer. He knew who we were, and in turn made us believe in who we are. That's massive. And the fourth point I want to give you all, which in my opinion is one of the biggest points, one of the biggest habits you can get in your life, is your friends. Your friends. My dad always taught Bree and I at a very young age that the 5 closest people in our life will determine what our life looks like. And her and I have made sure that we have always lived our life like that. No matter who we are with, no matter where we are, the people we are with will determine who we become. And we've made sure that we've put things in our life to make sure that one of the greatest things we did is we have other friends in our life that we can go to and say, hey, I'm blinded to this situation. What do you see in this situation that I don't see? Is this friend toxic or not? And my dad has this, we have some friends, and they'll text my dad and say, 1 minute. And what they're basically saying is, hey, can I run something past you? And if you ask my dad, my sister and I are probably the most people that come to our parents to go, hey, I know you trust us, but I'm just checking. What do you see in this situation that we don't see before we go do this? Is there a red flag you see that we don't see that you can help us guide us through this situation? Mentoring through relationships is huge. A few months back, I can't remember when exactly I gave the talk, but I did another talk about habits. And one of the points I said is making the habit small enough that you don't see it, but in a bigger picture, it's huge. One of the greatest things you can do is start small, and then eventually it'll get bigger. We had a pastor friend of ours, and he had this thing where he would interrupt conversations while he was talking to people. And he said, I noticed that was a small habit I needed to change. And he said, ever since then, I started changing the little things. And I realized the more and more I changed the little things, the bigger and bigger the habits got. I love this. It says, successful people do consistently what others do inconsistently. The habits you do, the habits you create now will determine the habits you have when you're older. And I keep thinking about the Duke University thing. 40% of the decisions you make a day is not out of choice, it's out of habit. So I want to encourage you that the habits you have now will determine the habits you have later, and it will determine the relationships you have later, the friends you have later, the decisions you make later. And if not the greatest thing you can do is the habits you create now will determine the habits you create later. So I just want to encourage you all to create habits that are encouraging to other friends that they see it, and that the habits you have now will determine the habits you have later. I know I keep saying that, but it's massive. So with that, I'm going to close, but I want to bring up the man who taught me how to have healthy habits and be aware of my unhealthy habits. So will you please help me welcome my amazing father, Tim Goad.
Great job. I looked at Josh, I said, that kid has no idea how brilliant the stuff he's saying. You can tell readers, right? And readers are leaders. They make all the difference in the world. By the way, your next 5 years is going to be determined by those that are closest to you, the books you read, the downloads you listen to, and the association, and it's powerful. I just want to pause here for a second. By the way, welcome to the taping today. Isn't it fun? Sorry about the excitement on the way in here. I guess a house burnt down or something. But there's always something exciting happening on this road, as you can see. But and because G5 here, it is exciting. But can I ask you, when he says who before do, does that register? Does that challenge? There's a long time I heard that, and I didn't really understand what it meant. And if you grow the who in your life, the do will automatically follow. And so every day I get up in my life literally and say, what thing am I not becoming that is keeping me from being and doing all I need to do? So I really encourage you to take some moments and think about the who that you are. I have a lot of people in my life that seriously don't really know who they are, or the image they have of themselves is not a correct one. And so I just want to say this to make it plain, and at G5 conference this year, we will come after this big, okay? If you ever get in a space where you don't really know who you are, and I think life takes you through transitions and moments where you identify as either a child or a teenager or as a young adult, and then you get married, and then you identify yourself as being married, and then if you go through a relationship breakup, then you identify yourself as that. There's a lot of identities that get inside of us that are so inaccurate, and if you're not careful, they will turn into strongholds in your life that will hinder you from becoming the who that you're really called to be. So when it comes to really looking at your life and saying, who am I? The only lens that you can really answer that question with any integrity at all, is the Bible. Because I am exactly who God says I am. And I don't know why that scares people so bad, but it makes them uncomfortable. Anyhow, welcome to leadership today. My son just killed it, and I'm so proud of him. It's just so amazing. I'm honored to have my beautiful wife in leadership with me today, and some guests, and I get fired up about that. To the woman that wows me every day more and more and more, I'm grateful. You're amazing. Resiliency. On Tuesday nights, I'm speaking on resiliency from the spiritual standpoint, and there's 3 key ingredients. And I've already given one of them, and it will be up tonight on all of our media. And that's gratitude. Tonight I will give 2 more. But today I want to talk about resiliency, and here's why. I think as a leader, it's probably one of the greatest skills you will ever know in your life. Have you ever known somebody that was resilient? Do you have anybody in your life right now that is resilient? By the way, the friends I have, the books I read, the downloads I listen to, the conferences that I get to are life-changing. And I think a lot of people in business that are entrepreneurs understand these truths, but I think for the millions of people that go to church, they don't have any idea how critically important it is to get to a conference, a place where you can grow and be challenged and be given new information. Just the pure joy of sitting in the room with other leaders that are hungry, that are motivated. Let me tell you what the book says. The book says, iron sharpens iron, and people sharpen people. I can tell you the quality of your life right now is completely shaped by your 5 closest friends. And I can tell a lot about the who in you by the who you choose to hang out with. You can tell a lot about a leader and who they are on the who that they go to get information from. I want to tell you, we have a powerful culture. You should have a powerful culture where you are. And culture is a feeling that's really not explainable, but it's felt. It's felt. It's created by vision, mission, and values. A vision is what you want. Mission is how you're going to get it. And values say this is how we're going to treat each other. So when people come to G5, as soon as I can, I don't care how successful they've been in any other company or endeavor, I want them to learn our culture. I want them to learn the ingredients in our culture, and then I want them to live those ingredients, because culture is more caught than it is taught. It's more felt. When you walk into a culture, you literally can feel the values, the principles, the virtues. You can feel the difference when you do business with people that have a powerful culture. In that culture, one of the things we want to make sure that we have is we have a resilient mindset. That we're able, when we get knocked down, we're able to get back up. Somebody said it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And the quicker that you can get back up determines the speed of which you can make your vision a reality. I just want to challenge you as a leader, don't waste a moment or a second or a day where you're living under the circumstances instead of rising above the circumstances. Resiliency is rising above what holds most other people down. So let me tell you what I wanted to tell you about culture. Culture is not only an invitation, it's also a repellent. Let me explain. For those that want to live life and do business and have a team that wants to play at a level, it causes people that want to live at that level, to think at that level, to believe at that level. It pulls them in. But people that don't want to do that, they want to walk in a culture and remake the culture to their thinking, it's a repellent. It causes them not to want to become a part of it. This is what you have to understand about powerful culture. You got to understand in your home. You've got to understand in your business. You've got to understand in your life. We're all creating environment. Your attitude, your heart, the way you smile, the way you engage people, the way you love people, the way you have a teachable spirit. This is all creating culture. So, has anybody ever said about you, man, you're resilient. You're resilient. How quickly can you come back? Now, when I was about 10 years old, we lived in the country, and today here, can I ask how many of you have ever ridden a horse? You've all ridden his. Oh, look at this, man. David, we're going to take you and ride a horse, okay? It'll be fine. But I remember my neighbor brought over his horse, and it was a great big cotton-picking horse. Now, maybe it was because I was 10 years old, but it looked as high as the clouds. Do you know what I'm talking about? And I got on the horse, and I started going down the road with it, and it started out pretty calm. And then all of a sudden, it decided it wanted to go to the barn and get away from where it was. And I was riding, tried to hang on. Are you with me? And needless to say, I fell off the horse onto the road, and I still have a scar right there from where my chin hit the ground. And the horse ran off. Well, guess what? When that horse came around, I was like, you get away from me. And I remember my neighbor said, I want you to get back on this horse. Matter of fact, as it ran to the house, he brought it back. And he said, I want you to get back on this horse. And I said, why? Now, can I tell you? To me, it seemed like the most unkindest, insensitive thing you could ever think. But he knew something that I did not know as a 10-year-old. And that is, the longer it takes you to defeat the fear and become resilient, you set up a pattern and a habit in your life that you will fight for the rest of your life. So he put me back on and he held the reins. And pretty soon I got confident. And he said, now listen, this horse can feel your insecurity. It actually wants you to make it feel secure by you being confident. When you look at resiliency in your life, the ability when you've been knocked down, scarred up, broken. By the way, anybody besides me ever had anything like that happen to them? I mean, how about this week? Has anything happened to you that you went, Did somebody disappoint you? Did somebody let you down? Did somebody, honestly, that you thought would never hurt you, did something that hurt you? It's amazing. But the ability to you and I to come back is amazing. We all know how powerful this is in sports. We know how important comebacks are. We know in business how important this is. And I believe in relationships, it's just incredibly, incredibly important. Being able to overcome and unlearn the things that cause me not to be resilient are not as easy as it sounds, because they're comforting. And normally what happens is I either build this overcoming mentality or I build a victim mentality that, woe is me. Now, I understand life hurts. I understand there's pain. Hey, look, my chin was all messed up. It was real. But I am so grateful that even in my pain, nobody let me sit in my room. They made me get back on the horse. And I didn't spend years fighting that dysfunction in my life. So 10 ways to build resiliency. Are you ready? If you're ready, say I'm ready. Ready. I hope you said I'm ready to in your car or in your office or wherever you are right now. Number 1, make connections. 10 ways to build resiliency. Please write it down. Accepting help and support from those who care about you and will listen to you strengthens resiliency in you. Now, if you're wondering if this is biblical or not, the Bible says 2 are better than 1 because they get a greater return on their work. If I was mentoring you and you were going to pay me a lot of money, I would literally right now say, tell me your 5 closest friends, and I want to know, are you smarter than them? Do they challenge you almost to the point where they irritate you? Because you can approach doing the same thing and let somebody lead you, or you can do something and lead them. People are always trying to get you to do what they think and what they feel, and I'm always trying to get people to go to a whole nother level. Look at the same thing and see something so different. Okay, that's a lot. So can we go through this statement, making connections? Do you know what the temptation is when you've got the air knocked out of you? The temptation really is to isolate. Just go inside. And the scripture says, I want you to take off that coat of heaviness, and I want you to put a garment of praise. What is he saying? Is he saying the pain is not real? Is he saying that the hurt is not real? No, he's not saying that. He's saying instead of letting that weigh you down and keep you down, I want you to replace that with this. Wow. So, there's something that happens when you share. There's something about just talking to somebody and sharing one another's burdens with each other. You get some news and you need somebody that understands confidentiality, that doesn't run down the road and talk about it, go, oh, you're not going to believe what's going on, or offer it up in a prayer request. No. Accepting help when I don't want it. Accepting instruction when I don't want it. Accepting challenge when I really want to cry over my spilled milk. I just want to encourage you, when you need to come back strong, stay connected. Stay connected. Not with everybody, with people that support you, who care about you, who will listen to you, and who will keep it confidential. That creates resiliency in your life. Number 2. Are you all right? Yes. By the way, on this Make Connections, can I just tell you one thing? I don't tell those moments to nosy people. I didn't charge you for that. But that is so huge. The second thing, avoid seeing crisis as insurmountable problems. Avoid seeing crisis, situations, moments in your life as insurmountable problems. Instead, try looking beyond the present to the future circumstances that will be better. I think this is a definition of hope. Right now it's not too good, but it's going to get better. If you have the ability, because of gratitude in your heart, to see the situation that you're in and don't take it as punishment, but rather as a promotion, it will change everything in your heart. So I want to encourage you right now, when you face a challenge, break it down into smaller pieces and parts. Break it down. Don't try to take it all on at one time. Break it down and then watch what happens. So realize this, that everything that's going on in your life is going to work for your good. But it won't work for your good if you keep yesterday's understanding of what you're dealing with. Are you with me? This is one of the greatest gifts a leader and a human being can ever have in their lives. By the way, this is one of the greatest gifts you will ever teach children that you can imagine. And that is, I don't care what it feels like right now or looks like right now. You gotta look beyond it, because what separates you from everybody else in this world is your picture of tomorrow. Your picture of tomorrow. Number 3, accept that change is a part of living. Accept that change is a part of living. Most of us don't like change. We want progress, we just don't want change. And I definitely don't want anything to change in me. See, if we as leaders will literally say, I'm going first, the change will begin with me. And I think this is really where the Holy Spirit is so powerful in our lives. If we can accept that change is a part of living, and accepting circumstances that cannot be changed, that can help you focus on the circumstances and situations that you can change and alter. Oh, that's a big mouthful. When I can accept circumstances that I cannot change, then I have the ability to focus on circumstances that I can alter. Let me say it this way. When I stop looking at the negative and start looking at the positive, wow, it's a whole new world. But has anybody besides me ever been in a situation and you're like, just let me be down right now? Just let me suck my thumb for a minute. And let me just call my friends and tell it how bad it really is. Now, look, I'm not saying be Pollyanna. I'm not saying be up all the time. I'm just saying anytime you describe a problem or a challenge, also deliver the solution. That's so incredibly important. So here's what I want to tell you right now. Vision is so important wrapped around this. What do you see? What do you see? Expectation is a powerful, powerful force in life. You start preparing for what you're expecting. And if you're not expecting, I can pretty much look in your life right now and see that you're not preparing. Because the future belongs to the prepared. And I should be leading change, positive change, not just change for change's sake. Are you with me? Yes. By the way, I will talk on change and let you know that every time you make a change, 7 things happen in the psyche of people. Number one, the first thing when you change something, number one thing that happens is, what are you taking from me? What am I going to lose? That's why when people are not up on change, that's why you've got to, as a leader, sit down with leaders before you make change. You don't like things to be sprung on you, so I can pretty much tell that people around you don't like that either, and I just say a word to my married buddies. Please learn how to communicate to your wife. I'm talking to me now. You don't know how many times in life I would go, babe, we get dinner tonight with this couple. She goes, and when were you going to tell me that? I thought, well, I told you, and I didn't. Isn't it amazing that what you know, you think everybody else knows? Right? Like, if I ask you about your car, you know everything about your car right now. You know the color of it. You know where it's parked, hopefully. But we tell everybody, I got a Honda. And you're going, well, there's only 600 Hondas in the parking lot, so that's a really good start. See, because you know it, you think everybody else around you knows it. And they don't know it. That's why we have got to take time to break it down in smaller parts. Number 4, are you ready? Yes. Oh, did I tell you this? Let me tell you this on number 3. Are you ready? Stop trying to change the past. And stop trying to fix yesterday. And start creating what you want. Start creating what you want. Number 4, move towards your goals. Do something regularly, even if it seems small, because small accomplishments enable you to move towards your goal quicker. Resiliency. Resiliency. Move towards your goals. Do something regularly. I say every day, even if it seems small, because that enables you to then move towards your goal. It helps you create momentum. Momentum. Here's what I want you to write down. Be proactive and not reactive. Be proactive and not reactive. So, let me just tell you this. Progress is so important to the human spirit. There's nothing worse than feeling stuck There's nothing worse than feeling like nothing's ever going to change. There's nothing worse that says this chain's going to be around my neck for the rest of my life. It's too heavy to carry. So I would encourage you every day, get small steps and watch what happens. I believe this so much that this simple statement in my life has directed me more than you could ever imagine. And that is this: big doors swing on small hinges. Everybody's trying to hit home runs. Why don't you get on base? You're defeated before you get started if you can't do something small. And most of the time, I watch people that are not used to being entrepreneurs. They keep waiting for conditions and circumstances to get right before they step into the opportunity. If you step into the opportunity, you can get everything you need. But say yes. Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Do you know how many times I've said yes? My family doesn't even like the fact that I say yes. Can you do that? Yes. Can you be there? Yes. Well, how are you going to do that? I said yes. I'll figure it out. Sometimes in life, you've got to go ahead and make the commitment so the solution will come. But most of the time, we spend too much time trying to make it easy instead of powerful. Just critical. Move towards your goals. Number 5, take decisive action. Take decisive action. Take decisive action. How do I take decisive action if I don't know? Take decisive action. What does that mean? Right now, I'm going to make this decision. My son talked about it over and over and over. Learn how to say to somebody, can I ask you your thoughts on this? Do you know how many questions great leaders ask that they already have the answer to? They're just checking. It's a sign of humility, and it's so powerful. Plus, do you know what I found out? One of the greatest ways to get buy-in is to ask people questions you already know the answer to. And then they get a way in. And then they think they've done something for you. Now, that's not manipulative. It's called building a team. It's called setting people up to win. But so many times we're so busy trying to set myself up to win. I got to set me up to win. So, in your life, take decisive action. Rather than detaching completely from a problem and stresses and wishing that they would just go away, act on adverse situations as much as you can. As much as you can. Now, let me give you an example of this in life. Sometimes you'll have a problem, and if you don't feel like you have all the answer, you don't do anything. No, say, hey, here's what I want you to know. We're working on this problem. Right now, we've figured this and this. We're working on the other. By the way, do you have any ideas? Ideas are the only thing that cost you nothing and that makes you millions. So right now, what is it that you need to know that you can't see? I have a friend coming to see me tomorrow. And the other day in a 15-minute call, we completely redirected his $50 million company. Well, Tim, how do you have the ability to do that? Because I know people. And people are the most strategic asset that you have. If you're going to mess up on anything, mess up on something besides people. Because people have the ability to have resiliency to come back. And what we're trying to do is re-implement their minds so they don't keep continually making the same mistakes. But some people say, well, if I can't do it all, then I'm not going to do anything. That is just the recipe for disaster. And by the way, sometimes a wrong decision made clearly can lead you to the right decision accurately. Are you with me? Oh, I tried that. That didn't work. Wow, sorry. By the way, leaders, the quicker you can say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I was wrong, or adjusting, the faster you'll move people on. But if you try to move people before you validate their feelings, they don't like to let go of it. Number 6, look for opportunities for self-discovery. Self-discovery is a fancy word. It almost sounds really fleshly. But really what I'm looking for is look for opportunities to become aware. A lot of us have habits and things in our lives that we're not even aware of. We have looks, like we give looks. We got looks on our faces that we don't even know are there. Do you know how many deals are lost because somebody's face doesn't show excitement? Do you know how many couples feel unloved because I don't see any excitement in your face? Do you know how many recruits we miss because we don't seem excited, genuinely excited about them? Do you understand how many deals are lost because we don't seem excited about what we are selling? You've got to keep the edge on you, man, and you've got to stay aware of body language, heart, and words, and actions. You've got to be aware of it. And this self-discovery is not as easy as you think. Can I tell you, people often learn something about themselves and may find out that they have grown in some respect as a result of their struggle with loss. Loss will teach you something that gain will not. See, I'm not worried about the victories. The victories, we're going to celebrate them. But I am concerned about when we do something and maybe it didn't go as planned. My ability to adjust is so important. It's so important. Number 7. Are you all okay with that? By the way, can I just say something about self-discovery for a second? We talk a lot about friendship. Can I ask you, are you your best friend? Are you best friends with you? A lot of people are not. A lot of people don't encourage. They don't talk to themselves correctly. They literally are not very good friends to themselves. And I've found out when I'm not a good friend to me, I'm not a good friend to anyone else. Do you understand what I'm saying? So critically important. We're on number 7, right? Right. Number 7, if you want to have resiliency, and I know you do, nurture a positive view of yourself. Nurture a positive view of yourself. Stop rehearsing your failures and start being grateful for your wins and what you're learning. Are you with me? This is so good. Developing confidence in your ability to solve problems and trusting your instincts helps build resilience. Can I ask you a question? In your company, on your team, in your home, are you somebody that creates problems, or are you somebody that has confidence I can solve problems? At G5, we're looking for problem solvers. If you have 100 people, you have 100 challenges. I don't call them problems. If you have 1,000 people, you've got 1,000 challenges. If you have 10,000, you have 10,000 challenges. All of us are a problem or a solution. And what I have really worked hard with our children, and my wife and I have, is anytime they would bring a problem or a challenge to me, I would say, please don't bring a challenge or a problem without bringing me 3 solutions that we could do. What was I doing? I didn't want them to learn how to think in problems. I wanted them to learn how to think in solutions. Wow. Solutions. Faith causes you to think differently and you build confidence and this ability in solving problems, and then you begin to trust your instincts. You begin to trust your instincts. I know this is really abstract, but you begin to trust your read of the situation. You begin to trust the discernment inside of you. And if you have the Holy Spirit inside of you, I'm coming for you, okay? You have an unfair advantage. Because he leads you and guides you and directs you into all truth. And that's not only in dealing with people, that's dealing with me. Because the truth of it is I cannot move anyone else to a healthy place if I'm not healthy. Everything will be skewed in my life. So nurture this positive view. I'm not talking about a haughty or a spirit that's, you know what I'm talking. It's kind of sickening. It's kind of like, I think humility is so beautiful. I think it's handsome. I think it's gorgeous. I think humility, true humility, you can hear it in somebody's communication. You see, a lot of people, when they hear humility, they think of weakness. But humility is really strength. And it takes somebody that is a hard-nosed, wants their way, selfish, self-centered, I'm going to do this and I'm going to win at all costs. And I can tell you, it will take you and turn you into somebody that cares that other people have a seat at the table, that you're not the only one winning. Number 8, keep things in perspective. I think it's so hard to be resilient when I've lost perspective. Do you know what I'm talking about? You get any situation, when you lose perspective, oh my goodness. So even when facing very painful events, by the way, anybody besides me ever had a very painful event? Sure you have. Try to consider the stressful situation you're in a broader context and keep a long-term perspective. Okay, I just said something really, really important. Because when we lose perspective, we normally are thinking so short term, we don't think we can recover. And the reason you want long-term perspective is because it gives you long-term vision, which gives you the strength and the ingenuity and the creativity to get through what you're presently going through. All right, that's good. Number 9. Maintain a hopeful outlook. Try visualizing when you are under stress, when you need to be resilient. Try visualizing what you want, not what you don't want. And instead of being full of worry and fear, be full of faith and hope. Wow. Keep things in perspective and watch your outlook. I can't tell you how important this is. It is so critically important right now in your life. You have got to understand that what you perceive in your heart causes you to believe and behave and feel things that you normally would not feel or have. Number 10. This is good stuff, isn't it? Yeah, I'm kind of being helped today, to be honest with you. I need some resiliency inside of me. Number 10, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. I want you to hear me very clear. Nobody's told you this in a long time. Pay attention to your own needs and your own feelings. Pay attention. I didn't say be ruled by them. I didn't say let them control you. I said pay attention to them. Understand when you're skating too close to the edge, where empty is about to take you out, where you have a need or a desire and you don't express it. I'm not talking about something that's wrong or wicked. I'm talking about something that is real, a human need that's inside of you, to be noticed, to be loved, to be accepted, to be approved of, to be appreciated. Be aware of these things and pay attention to it. And if you don't have somebody that you can talk to about it, because that's kind of a weird thing, especially I think for men to go, hey, I got this need. But I got to tell you, you will never play the game at the level that you could play at until you pay attention to what's causing you to leak energy and fire and passion and creativity. Engage in activities that you enjoy and find relaxing. Find it. My wife and I walk every morning, and we run and we bike. And I can't tell you how incredibly important those moments are. We were walking this morning and talking about it, that people can do this and they don't. I mean, man, just take care of yourself and engage in things that you enjoy and find relaxing. See, I don't know what it is for you. Some of you like the mountains. Some of you like the beach. I don't know what you like. I'm not trying to put what renews me on you, but you have got to have some place that you can get renewed. Be aware of the barrenness of an unexamined life. Just be aware of it. So you got to take care of your mind, your heart. You got to take care of your friends. You need right people in your life. And I encourage you to take care of your soul. Resiliency. Your ability to come back. I close with this. I believe this with everything inside of me. Resiliency is one of the greatest skills right now needed in every arena of life. In your home life, in your work life, in your religious life, in your faith life. Resiliency. Your ability, the desire, the hunger, the determination inside of you that says, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back stronger than I've ever been. I not only believe that your best days are ahead of you, I believe your best days are now. And I want you to join me March 24th, 25th, 26th for G5 conference. Right here at G5. We're going to have the most incredible time. We'll have a big dinner. Friday night, we're doing so many special things. It will be down at the ranch house. The sunsets are ridiculous. The things we have planned for you, I promise you, are going to blow your mind. Saturday, we start at 9 o'clock, and there are literally 3 sessions on leadership and relationships. And at night, we do a breakout. Gay does something with the ladies, and I do something with the men, where we just build. And then, of course, Sunday, we have services here, and it's going to be cray-cray. Don't wait. Don't wait. The longer you wait, the more tempted you will be not to put the money in it. And by the way, if you think education is expensive, just try ignorance. So I just want to encourage you to get strong and find a way. I love you. Go kill it. Charge. Oh, yeah.